Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Leading Minds podcast, and what an immense and amazing 10 weeks it's been. Today's episode, we don't have a guest, it's just me and Courtney, and what we're going to be doing is really reviewing what's happened over the last 10 weeks, because I don't know about you, Court, it's been insane.
Well, I'm grinning from ear to ear just you doing the intro. We can't fucking explain it.
When we set up Leading Minds, it was about telling our story, right? And putting a message out there and being able to provide a resource that wasn't available. And what shocks me now, of 10 weeks of doing this, is that there are people out there going through serious challenges, negative mindsets, and there is nothing available.
I think what we've learned in that aspect over the past 10 weeks is exactly what you've just said, and it's frightening, but on the flip side of things, it's actually great because we've identified a massive gap where we can help people on a global scale, not just I'm trying to think of the freaking word. What's the word? I can't think of it. But yeah, on a global scale where we can help people in so many different avenues. And also what it's done is identified even more things. We came into this, I'm not going to say naive, we came to it with a niche of entrepreneurs need help because they're on their own and yada, yada, yada. But people that have come into our lives in these past 10 weeks have identified, no, it's so much more than that. It's great that you've thought about that, but at the end of the day, mental health is going to affect every single person in the world. Absolutely. So let's not put ourselves in that bracket and let's help everyone. We can. And I'm sure you can say the same as well. I've had to put a lot of pride. My ego has been, it's like someone in the back of, it's like someone beside of me has been chipping away every single day of the past 10 weeks and just breaking my ego down even more, because I don't care what anyone says. I think it's healthy to have an ego, and everyone does have an ego. But when it blinds you from pursuing certain things or being open to new ideas, that's when it needs to change. That's when change needs to come. And the stuff I've done in the past few weeks, if you'd have told me I was doing that 5 years ago, I'd have laughed in your face, you know?
Do you know, I totally agree with you. I mean, when we set this up, I don't think it was naivety. I think it was really a case of, right, do you know what? We've been through this. Let's go and help other people, right? Lived experience, right? Lived experience is important in getting the message across. And it's great that we can do this episode 10 review, right? And just go over what the last 10 weeks are. But to be honest, as much as we've set this up to help other people, to give them a resource, to give them an outlet for them to reach out, we've evolved as individuals. Looking at people's journeys and talking to people on the podcasts every week, you can really see that we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors with people. From the outside, we can see success, and we see people that are doing really, really well in their lives. And we said this right at the beginning. Everybody talks about their wins. Nobody talks about their losses and how they've overcome those challenges. And I'm so glad that we've been able to do that.
Do you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I've wanted to go into people's wins as well. Yeah. And we haven't. And some of our podcasts, it might have seemed slightly morbid, but I think, do you know what? I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's just important that we have highlighted that these people that have come on the show and are in their own right in whatever they are passionate about are very successful, but they've got shit going on. Yeah. And they have struggled, are struggling, and still overcoming so many different obstacles. And I think what's nice is we've just shone a light on that and be like, life is fucking hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can make it out the other side. Right. And there is people out there that have made it out the other side, and you can learn from them.
That's right. It's look, we can get stuck in the mindset that we're the only person going through that. Yeah. And I think we've proved over the last 10 weeks that you are not on your own. There are other people that are going through exactly what you're going through and come out the other end. Now, James, who we had on episode 9, said something which is really relevant.
I think
we're all self-made. We're all self-made, but it's only the successful that admit it. Mm. And to be honest, that's the perfect quote, because, I mean, you could look at it and say, well, okay, you know what? We're all a result of the actions that we've taken or the decisions that we've made. However, with mental health challenges, it's slightly different. You have to get, what I've learned over the last 10 weeks, I suppose, is you have to get to the bottom of who you are again and identify and find yourself again. And what we've kind of highlighted is there are so many different routes for an individual to be sitting in that, when they're sitting in that negative mindset, to be able to take that step forward. There's so many different avenues to find yourself as an individual, to recognize who you are again. And again, going back to episode 9 with James, when he was saying that my lowest point was when I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize who I was. And I relate to that, because when I was in that moment, I was like that. I didn't recognize who I was. And I think we've highlighted that, you know, the first step is asking yourself the question, who are you? And who do you want to be? Mm.
It's interesting you say that, because what I've experienced over the past, I'd say 2-3 years, with separating myself from certain environments and individuals, is it can make people uncomfortable, but also it can make you doubt yourself of the person that you are, or the person that you are becoming.
Yeah.
And then, like, I fucking love the person I am right now.
Yeah.
And there have been times where certain people and the environment I'm in have made me doubt that, and like, oh, I'm not spending as much time with this person, so and they're not happy, so it's made me feel bad, so maybe I shouldn't be this person. But then you really have to take that step back and look at what you are doing and the impact you're having, and be like, am I actually doing any harm or any bad to this person? But also, you have to look after your own happiness. You have to look after number one. It's something I said yesterday, actually. You on the tube. It's like, looking after your own happiness sometimes makes someone else unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very uncomfortable situation to deal with, but it sometimes it has to be done.
I think there's an element of being attached to what we feel is comfortable, whether that is impacting us in a negative way or a positive way. You know, we find it hard to let go of things that could be having a negative impact on our lives, because we're in that bubble, that comfort zone, and we kind of think to ourselves, it'll be all right. I'll carry on through. It'll be all right. But like we said it before, if you carry on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, what, episode 4, I think it was, with Dina. For me, that was like a really good example of somebody who, adversity after adversity after adversity, she still kept going, no matter what happened in her life, from her upbringing to, you know, her the negative impact that reality TV had on her, and then, you know, going off after that, trying to make something of her life, but actually suffering really, really deeply from depression. She still managed to keep going. She managed to let go of that negativity that was being caused in her life, identify it, and then move forward. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this asks the question: are you born with that ability, or does something switch in you, and then you have this, I'm not going to say this obsessive drive, but this kind of tunnel vision where like, whatever the fuck comes at me, it's not going to stop me. It might make me change direction slightly, like veer off course, but we know where the end goal is. I don't think you can answer that question.
I don't know. I mean, if we take, I think that over the last 10 weeks we've had quite a broad spectrum of individuals come on, and that's a really good question. You know, a lot of people in a negative mindset would turn around and say, "Oh, I don't know. You know, I don't have the energy. I don't have the capacity to get out of this. You know, it's not in me. This, that, and the other." And you're right to a certain degree. Some people are born with a greater resilience than others. I mean, take episode 5, right? Which, when you were in Croatia, sunning it up. Episode 5, we had Cash, and we were talking about problem solving. And when we were talking about how you have 2 different types of mindsets, an analytical mindset and a creative mindset when you're approaching problems. And he talked about how he had kind of a hybrid of both, and that was almost a natural inclination from his past experiences to be like that, right? So you could argue, okay, he was born with that, right? But I think ultimately it comes down to resilience, and we can all learn to be resilient. I think where the gap is to how you take that first step. How do you approach that?
Well, that's it. I think in order to have resilience, you need to have other factors in your life, other habits in your life, other hobbies in your life that make you happy. So you have a shit day at work. Yeah. You're at your 9 to 5, you're sitting at your desk, your boss is talking shit all day, but you know you're going to the gym after, and let's say you're at a gym that has a sauna and a steam room, and you're not even going to go train, you're going to go sit in the sauna and steam room, or you are going to train, you're going to do both, you're going to go for a swim, you're going to go for a walk, you're going to go dance, you're going to go do yoga, whatever it may be. You have something outside of that work spectrum which makes you feel good and makes you forget. I think that has a massive role to play, because if you have no happiness, if you have no things that make you happy outside of work, and work's not making you happy, then what hope do you have?
Well, you know, they say you spent majority of our lives at work. Now, if you're in a toxic environment, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling and you have a negative mindset, how do you break out of that malaise? You know what I mean? Like that kind of, if you're stuck in it, it's hard to get out of it. And I think if we look at what we've learned, sometimes you've got to step out of your comfort zone and that little bubble that you're in to get a different perspective. Now, the best example of this is you doing yoga. Bro, I have not seen a big guy struggle so badly on that day. I was thinking you were going to breeze that. So just to kind of give an overview, right?
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
What?
Hold on a minute. If I remember rightly, I think I was getting into the more strenuous positions, and I was looking over my shoulder, and you'd gone for the easy option. So,
bro, I admit it. I was sweating buckets, right? I was literally there, like, thinking, right, I need to take a break. No, it was good, but I mean that. So that was our open day. That was our first open day. The open day, our open days which we're going to be doing every month, where people can come along, and it gives them an opportunity to take that first step, experience different things, and exactly what we're saying, trying to break out of that bubble. So one of the things that we did on that day was yoga. Now, yoga gets there's a stigma attached to it, right?
It's for hippies, right? Isn't it?
Well, this is you love that word recently. So, I mean, the concept is being put into positions that you would find difficult, and I'm trying to say this in layman's terms, right? That you would find difficult, but staying in that pain and seeing it through. And it's a great metaphor for life in general, right? It may not be great when you're doing it at that moment in time, but at the end of it, you kind of think, okay, if I can get through that, then the rest of my day is going to be a lot easier to approach.
Well, this is the thing, you know, like put me in a gym and get me to lift 200 kilos deadlifting, and that's a breeze for me. It's easy. You know, some people would they'll never do that, you know, and it's not the first time I've done yoga, but I've not done it for years. And all you bodybuilders out there, anyone who's not done yoga before, I urge you to do it, because how I felt after was amazing. But like Shezad had said, it puts you in an uncomfortable position and you have to see it through. Well, I chose to see it through. And like we were talking about earlier, doing something like that, which you wouldn't attach to really building any kind of mental resilience to. I know I wouldn't have until now because I've experienced it, but it does. You know, I'm there, warrior pose, shaking, beads of sweat dripping down my face, and I'm like, this woman, hurry up, 5 breaths. And I'm like, you've already done 3, you know, and I want to get out of it, but you as I said, you see it through and you're like, wow, I am capable.
Yeah. I mean, talking about breathwork, we had Shayna on last week's podcast, and we actually took part in a breathwork session. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. That was instant. I mean, we were doing it for 20, 25 minutes, something like that. I don't know about you, but the way I felt at the end of that, I literally didn't want to move out of that position.
So do you know what? I think it's different for everyone. I've seen a lot of people post on in the comment section with Shayna's work, and to be fair, it might have been longer, it might have been a different type, I don't know. And so many people's experiences were so different. Like, it's crazy how varied they are. All I know is, like I said afterwards, like, I didn't want to move. Obviously, we had stuff to do, but what Shayna had described we would see, I was already seeing before she said it, and I was like, holy shit, you know. When we were coming towards the end, she said to look into your third eye and you'll see a purple light. Focus on the purple light, and I'm like, I'd seen that 10 minutes ago, and I had this. It's crazy. I can't believe I'm saying these things, but I had this like purple figure over me, like going, warm, and this purple figure. And then when I tried to really focus on it, it disappears. But then I saw, instead of it being here, it came out of my eyes and then back to the middle. I'm like, I am the purple light. It's like I became it. It's crazy, you know. And like, I'm gonna say, like, I don't think I was the most spiritual person, but the train journey here with Shayna and with Mike, our videographer, who's amazing and is very, very spiritual as well. After that, I was like, okay, I need to put my pride aside, ego aside, whatever it is, and really tap into this a lot more, because how I felt afterwards was not like anything I've ever had.
Positive, right? Now, this is really interesting that you say this about spirituality, because every single podcast that we've done, and we haven't instigated it, we've brought people on that we felt would have a story that would resonate, that people could relate to. But every single podcast, spirituality came up at some point. And it got me thinking, because let's be honest, right? When we start talking about spirituality, we start talking about religion, there's people out there that don't necessarily believe that. You know, that is the case. And that's fine, each to their own. And we don't want to exclude anybody from, this being relevant to. But it was interesting how everybody's concept of spirituality, where it was different in, I want to say the theology of it, but where it was different in their approach, there was always this, there's always been that underlying theme across all the first 10 podcasts that we've done, of putting your challenges and your issues into the hands of a higher being or entity. Kind of a almost saying, well, there's a power, a divinity, something that is out there that I can just hand everything over to.
Well, it's one of those things, you know the old saying, everything happens for a reason, karma, this, that, and the other. Now, in the meeting we had yesterday,
Yeah.
and I said about that Paralympian that I wanted to get on the podcast, and I couldn't think of her name. How crazy is this? I got home, and MasterChef was on, and she was on it.
No way.
And I wasn't watching it. Becky was watching it, and I was like, holy crap. And I was like, and so her name came to me without me. Well, I guess I asked the universe, a higher power.
Yeah.
And it came to me through the and I literally only knew about her 2 weeks ago by seeing her win gold at the Paralympics. And I just thought, what an incredible, inspiring woman. So I'm still a novice to all this spiritualism, but I'm excited for the journey.
Do you know what? We've been so apprehensive. I don't know about you, but when a guest starts talking about spirituality, this was towards the beginning. Alarm bells are going off in my head. I'm like, whoa, okay, we need to kind of tone this down a bit because we don't want people to disconnect, this, that, and the other. But after a while, if there actually is an underlying underlying factor that's common across every single story, and that happens to be spirituality, then why shouldn't somebody who maybe is an atheist or agnostic explore what that means to them? One thing I've learned over the last 10 episodes especially is that spirituality doesn't necessarily mean looking back to a religious practice. Spirituality, in fact, is the understanding of oneself first and foremost. It comes from inside of us. We need to find who we are first before we're able to then hand over to a higher entity if we choose to do so. But the power of the human mind and the power of us as individuals, as humans, we underestimate it because we get caught up in what society dictates for us to be like. Again, going back to what James was saying when he was saying, right, you know, I was in this state where I was drinking, but I said to myself, if I have a house, if I have a good job, if I have a wife, if I have kids, then I'll, stop drinking or this, that, and the other. But I think when we said it before, it all starts from within us. External factors can't dictate to us, materialism and stuff like that shouldn't dictate to us our journey to inner self.
For me, it's when you truly accept yourself for who you are and you really love yourself. I saw a video yesterday of Skepta on a podcast, and the lady interviewing him asked him who his best friend was, and he said, Skepta, me. I'm my best friend. I give myself the best advice, I trust myself the most, and I make myself the happiest. And I was like, my fucking mind was blown. I was like, that's what I think. I'm not going to say that's true happiness, but that is a level of mindset which I would love everyone to be able to achieve, because you know how to make you happy and you're not attaching your happiness to any materialistic things. You're not looking for validation from others because you validate yourself. You're so sure of yourself in a not in an arrogant way or a cocky way. You're happy with yourself. And I think that is something I said on, I think the first ever on our introduction. That I want to die happy, but it's like, no, I want to live happy. I want to live happy.
Well, David O said that, episode 6, I think it was. I mean, what a story that guy had and what he'd been through. Do you know what I mean? That was unreal. I mean, it's a shame that the audio wasn't great on that one, but
we apologise for that,
guys. That was, I mean, but again, the underlying theme of spirituality in the sense of finding yourself and loving yourself. And you know, a lot of the time I think when we get into negative mindsets, it's that we have fallen out of love with ourselves. And it all starts with us. And there's not, you know, you use the word selfish. I don't think that's the right word. I really don't. I mean, at the end of the day, if we project how we feel and what we are out onto the world, and I'll go as far to say, I think a lot of what we're doing with Leading Minds is a projection of our own experiences and, you know, where we've been. You know what I mean?
What I want to do, listen, we've experienced what we've experienced, and all our guests have experienced what they've experienced. If I say if no one's been through that, you're gonna face adversity regardless or not. What I want to do is equip people with the mindset in order for them to overcome that. It's as simple as that, because I wouldn't wish how I felt on anybody, and I'm sure our guests would say the same. But you're gonna feel like that at one point through whatever obstacle you face.
That's right.
Whether it be a bereavement, illness, whatever it is, and you need to be one resilient fucker to be able to get over that.
No, look, that's a bit extreme, because there are going to be people out there that are going to be thinking, oh, I'm not a resilient fucker. I'm just not. It's just not in me. Everybody has the capability the capacity to be able to move forward to a positive mindset. There's no limitations in this game. It doesn't matter. You could be 6 foot tall or 4 foot tall. You could be as big as a house or as small as a mouse. It does not matter. We all have the capability to move forward and take a step towards a positive mindset. There is nothing stopping us but ourselves. And again, comes back to the power of the mind.
But this is it, and this is why it is. I'm going to say it is hard to get to that level of mindset, because you're the one telling yourself that you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can speak to a therapist. You can go to the gym. You can do all these things. But if you're still in the wrong mindset, will it ever work? You know, because there's of course there's going to be cases where people have had the support and still in a negative mindset, or even worse, you know, they've taken their own life even with that support. So this is where, and there's probably going to be studies years down the line on our brains where they'll be able to identify whatever it is they can identify with physiology and psychology. Because is it as easy as us to say everyone is capable if you have the right support and the right tools? Or is there something else? Is something misfiring? Has something broken? Or whatever it may be? You know, it's a really dark, complex, but interesting subject to talk about, because I think it's endless. And when we're talking about what we've experienced, what resources we know are out there. But it's like when I said about my meditation is walking. Yeah. So you gotta be in your bonnet about this for weeks, bro. Come on, get it out. Let it out. Our amazing guest, Anuj, who the episode was the science of oneself. He's I'm gonna say he's a spiritual expert, and his description of meditation was complete stillness and emptiness of the mind. Whereas my experience, I've been told by others that meditation is different for everyone. And for me, my meditation is...
I'm sorry, bro. Do you know what it is? I know how much that has grated on you, bro. You've had sleepless nights about this. No, honestly, man.
Oh, my God.
My walking in the park is meditation. How dare you tell me any different?
But it is, you know, it brings me complete peace. And I, even though my body is moving, my mind is still, and I'm present in nature, and I'm just absorbing the sun, the sky, the trees, and looking at my dogs and having a good time.
I think it comes down to our own individual experiences. And again, it comes back to trying to find ourselves and who we are and what is good for us. You know, like on our open days, as an example, we put on a PT session, yoga session.
Should we talk about the PT session?
Let's not talk about the PT session, right? Let's not talk about that, because that was, like, I was tired. I was tired, and I was a little bit, drained. I felt a little bit faint, right? Right. Anyway, let's not go there. So we put on these different sessions. The reason why we put on different sessions is purely because it allows different people with different interests to come along. And the next one we're doing, going to incorporate breathwork. We can get an ice bath down there, whatever, whatever resonates with people.
And this
right?
is what I mean. And every time we speak about this, it gives me more ideas, whether it's some people's interpretation of meditation. Like, if we bring we could bring a motivational speaker to the next one. We could do a book reading, like let's say it's Atomic Habits or whatever book we're going to choose, which is about mindfulness. Like, we could even do a reading session, and that could be an avenue for someone to be able to take the first step. There are so many different ways for you to get out your negative mindset. It's just about finding the right one for you.
And you know what? There are so many inspirational stories of people that have had messed up lives that have come out the other end. And the first example that comes into my head, Rudy.
Well, this is what I wanted to speak about. So far, we've had some incredible guests.
So that's episode 3.
And that was episode 3, right? If you haven't seen that episode, make sure you go watch it, because it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. You have this ex-drug kingpin bringing in £44 million worth, and that's just in one shipment.
Yeah, that was
attempted murder.
Spent most of his life in jail.
21 years in prison. And to see how he is now, and what he has achieved, what he's continuing to achieve, what he's building, what he's about, but also how he carries himself.
He's the most humble, one of the most humble people that you can meet.
I was expecting some humongous, I could tell by his name he's going to be black, but I was expecting this humongous gorilla, scars down his face. I got the gold tooth. I thought there was going to be a gold tooth. And the most calm, and just his energy, man. His energy is just nice.
So positive.
And when he's speaking about his past experience, it's not with any sort of, he's not flaunting.
There's no bravado behind it.
There's no bravado. He's not glamorizing it at all. He's just talking about his experience.
Raw, totally raw. And then, to see him, to hear his story and where he was and what he was doing, and then now, obviously, he's working for this hedge fund, doing amazing stuff for the community. Completely changed his life, but it's exactly what we're trying to say today. He's taken that first step. He's identified where he wanted to be, what he wanted to do, and you know what? I'm kind of starting to believe that once we're ready as individuals, the pathways will open up.
It's already happened.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to go down the route of talking about manifestation and this, that, and the other. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, once we identify within ourselves that we want to take that first step and we're committed to it, something that I've seen in every single story that we've talked about, the pathways have just opened up for people.
You attract what you put out. We started Leading Minds with no hidden agenda, with exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to help others.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we've helped ourselves. And this didn't exist 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy, man, when you say that.
And 3 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago we had the
3
first
weeks
meeting?
ago, yeah.
3 weeks ago, we got invested in by $1 billion hedge fund. Did you think that
I'm
was going to happen?
No. That was not on the radar at
Ever,
all. No,
ever,
man.
ever,
We
ever,
never
ever.
discussed that. It was all about, do you know what?
It was you and me till the death.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go out there. Let's talk about people's experiences. Let's let people relate to it, and let's motivate them to do something. Like somebody said to us, we're evoking an emotion and we want them to take an action off the back of that emotion. And we thought, okay, you know what? If we provide these services for people, then that'll be enough. That's all we thought. And do you remember us saying right at the beginning, and as cliche as this sound, we really meant this. If we could help just one person, and if one person reached out and said, guys, I've watched your podcast, or I've been on your website, or I've seen what you guys are doing, and you know what? I feel like I'm ready to take that step. I'm going to start changing my life. If we impacted one person in a positive way, that would be enough. And we did that within the first couple of weeks. And I remember that message, when that message came through from that lady, it was like, wow, we've actually impacted somebody's life. And now to think where we are now, I don't want to give away too much. How did that make me feel? One of the things for me was, I will do whatever it takes for people not to feel the way I felt. I will do whatever it takes. Because when I see people suffering, it takes me back. It makes me feel those feelings and those emotions again. And when I see other people going through that, it kills me. And when
take your time, man.
When I hear something like that, to know that they were feeling what I was feeling and going through what I was going through, it's like a sense of relief. It's not an achievement. No. It's a sense of relief that that's another person taken away from the brink, taken away from potentially something happening where, it could impact so many more people's lives than that person's life. How did it make me feel? It's going to sound strange, it made me feel a sense of relief. That we did something that impacted somebody else's life in a positive way.
Because it almost doesn't feel like an achievement. It feels like
it's
relief.
It's not like we're ticking off, but here's another one. No.
Yeah.
This is about people reaching out and saying, right, I'm ready. And for them not feeling that way. And start moving from a negative to positive mindset. So yeah, it's like a sense of relief, man. It's like you done it. A sense of pride, right? You done it.
Yeah, and that's it, and that's, especially when it comes to my coaching business, like that's the end goal. I want you to feel good. I want you to feel happy.
Yeah.
It happened in the same month, actually. Like a few months ago, I started coaching two women, and I had the consultation with one woman, and I nearly cried on the consultation. I was like, "You've got to stay professional, man. You can't do this."
Yeah.
And this lovely lady told me, and it was like, I could just feel the pain in her voice. Like, we go into your why you want to do this. Why is it important to you? What's going to anchor you to my program, and why you're going to prioritize it. And this woman said that she said some other things, how unhappy she was and this, that and the other. And she said she hated herself.
I remember you talking about this on, it was episode 2 with John. We were talking about this, yeah.
And what am I supposed to say back to that? That, like we evoke emotions out of people that view this podcast, that consultation just brought up so many emotions for me. And I just thought, you poor woman, that you're going through life and that's what you think of yourself. And I was like, I got to help you. I've got to help you,
Yeah.
you know, or at least try to get you to love yourself. And that's one of the main things. There has to be an exit strategy when people start a transformation program as well, because first of all, I always say, don't attach a weight goal to you transformed,
Yeah.
you know, because what if you like how you look 5 kilos lighter or 5 kilos heavier? But there has to be an exit strategy, and you have to come to terms with loving yourself, having self-worth, and being able to accept yourself at whatever weight you're at, how you look naked, and realize that, you know, this shell that we're in is we're going to die one day, you know. So I'm not saying you need to be unhealthy, of course not, but there comes a time where you need to not attach an aesthetic, a reaction to an aesthetic look.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, look, now we're at a point where we have people reaching out to us on a regular basis, and we're not therapists. You know, we're just a couple of guys that
Happy to talk about it.
Yeah, that's it. Just happy to talk about it and want other people to talk about it. You know, talking about it and accepting your situation and knowing that you need to do something about it is really, really, really important. I mean,
I think it's so courageous to show vulnerability, because we live in this, Shayna said it, we live in this fast-paced world, which is very, I say, yeah, materialistic, fake, whatever you want to call it. We have these facades that we have, these alter egos, or this, these characters that we've built up, and it's like you're in The Sims, you know. You're playing this character, but is that actually you?
Yeah. Vulnerability. Look, being vulnerable means being weak in society. Being vulnerable, once you accept your vulnerabilities, you're able to then move forward from that and be able to accept your weaknesses.
Well, that's it. When you accept your weaknesses, if someone was to highlight that, it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to use 8 Mile as a reference when Eminem's in the final rap battle and lays all his shit bare about what his friends like, what he's done. And so he's accepting of that, so no one can come back at him. Exactly.
I mean, we've had a lot of fun as well over the last 10 weeks, right? With our guests, with everything we've done and stuff like that. It doesn't all have to be negative. It's like you said earlier on, actually, you know, it can be a bit morbid and this, that, and the other. Everybody's got a story to tell. And I think all we're doing is giving people the platform to tell it.
Yeah.
Because we live in the most interconnected society ever. We're connected to each other on so many different levels than never before. But we're still, as individuals, isolated. With the amount of interconnectivity we have in society, we should be learning from each other. We should be expanding our minds, our knowledge at a faster pace than ever before based on other people's experiences. But we're not. Everybody's out for themselves, not sharing their stories and not sharing their lessons. You know, and again, you know, I will have this gripe with people, influencers that talk, you know, about, and I've achieved this and I've done this and I've done that, and they're dragging people along. People are just falling short before they're achieving what these guys are selling, before they're achieving the dreams that these guys are selling. Yeah, because they don't talk about the journey.
Well, I feel you come to a level of contentment, and people think, this must be it. I couldn't be any happier than this, surely, or I couldn't achieve anything more. It's like, it's endless. Yeah, it's endless.
It is endless, and there's so many different ways to achieve it. But coming back to what I was saying, if we're that interconnected, then we should be helping each other as a society. As a global society, no colour, no gender, no nothing. Everybody together, helping your brother, your sister, lifting them up, elevating them. Whoever's feeling down, elevate them. Make them feel they're not on their own, because we're all behind screens. Those screens belong to us as individuals. That's who we become, is lonely individuals behind that screen. The screen represents 1 billion people, but we're not connected to any of them. This is why being able to talk and being able to share stories allows us to learn from other people's experiences. People sitting at home on their own, stuck, thinking this is 4 walls and I'm the only one suffering. I'm the only one going through this. I'm the only one experiencing this. That is not the case.
And that's it. And this is what I think we have both learned over the past 9 weeks, you know, especially with us now being in a humongous entity and having feedback of how we can kind of go about things, you know. And I'm really looking forward to how we and how this podcast is going to progress, because as I said, some of the things might have been a bit morbid, and we've certainly ended on a positive note, but I think we can highlight that aspect a lot better now, because we know how to talk about the subject better, and we know how to flip the perspective as well.
Yeah.
So I am really excited to continue this amazing journey with you, and to have some amazing guests on, and to hear even more great stories, but flip this perspective better, and show our more like today, show our more fun side, show our more positive side.
It's not all, you know, look, the journey is not linear. It's ups and downs. And if we can all support each other through our downs and enjoy the ups together, it just makes it a happier and a much better journey. The future for Leading Minds.
Well,
what is it?
Well.
World Mental Health Day is on the 10th of October.
Yeah.
And we are going to have some amazing stuff going on that day, which is pretty much going to be the launch of phase 2 of Leading Minds.
So we're not going to give too much away, guys, but we have astronomical news which we cannot wait to share with you guys, and you're going to be on this journey with us. Do not forget, 26th of this month, which is a Sunday, we have our second open day, which we are really excited for. It's going to be 12 till 4 p.m. Location?
It's Bay 20 down in Ladbroke Grove. And we're going to be putting on yoga, personal training and breathwork on that day. These open days,
and the Pierre Resistance, if that's how you say it, the grand finale. We will be doing, obviously optional, we'll be doing ice baths. So that's going to be a new one for. Have you done an ice bath?
I haven't done an ice bath, mate.
Well, I can't wait to see
had a cold
that.
Shower.
We're going to have some amazing footage. We're even going to get our videographer Mike to do one as well. So it'd be nice, because I'll be taking the camera and I'll be shoving it right in his face and seeing how well he can take.
But these open days are something that we're going to be doing on a regular basis now, right? Every month, so that people can come along and take that first step and start their journey. You know, everything that we're offering to people: therapy, personal training, yoga, breathwork, training. Our courses are going to be accredited moving forward as well. Wellness programs. I was going to go into the other stuff, but I'm not going to go into that just yet. We have to wait until the 10th of October to go through that. But in conclusion, it's been an absolute pleasure doing this with you so far. I can't think of anybody else that I'd do this with, my brother. I'll be straight with you.
It's been amazing, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm getting very emotional right now. So we need to wrap this up before my tears start flowing.
10 episodes in, and it's been immense. We've kind of achieved what we wanted to achieve in the first couple of weeks, and long may it continue. And Leading Minds, to be in every single town in this country, to be able to provide access to solutions for people with negative mindsets, that are going through, depression, through anxiety, through life problems, to be able to give them a tangible solution, something that doesn't exist, that we're creating. And as every day goes by, man, the different ideas that we come up with, the different solutions that we try and put out there for people, it's still, I'll say it again, I said it at the beginning of this podcast, it shocks me that these things aren't available for people. But but don't worry. You know why? Because we're here. We're gonna make sure that people that need support, that need help, have it and have access to it and have easy access to it. It's episode 10 in the bag, bro.
Guys, that was episode 10. Thank you so much for watching.